Welcome back for episode 2 of the 2025 wide receiver breakdown. I'm your host, Brian Smith, here at CFB Nation. Please like and subscribe and share. And most of all, for me, please comment. Love to hear what you have to say on YouTube. We're also going to be broadcasting some of these on your favorite spots like Spotify and Apple, as you can see across the bottom of the screen. So today we're going to be talking about some more of the big-time receivers in the class 25 in Florida. The first podcast I did was French. He's the wide receiver out of Mandarin. The second guy that I talked about is one of my personal favorites, Joshua Moore, in terms of upside, and then also Dallas Wilson from Tech. Know all three of these guys in terms of their ability from watching them play a lot in the state of Florida. They're great. But this one, also some of the kids that I know and I've had the opportunity to see, really good prospects. We are going to start with a kid that I think is going to be one of the better players in the state by the time he's done. And it quite honestly isn't a surprise to anybody in South Florida, but you may not have heard of him if you're not from at least the state of Florida, because he's not a big school. Somerset Academy, and his name is Waden Charles. So 6'2", 180 pounds, give or take. Big kid already with 2 years of high school remaining, so let's get to it. Waden's ability to make plays after the catch are what make him a special player. For his size, keep in mind, this isn't just any guy. This play right here is a great example of what it's all about. When kids are sophomores in high school and able to run like that, it makes a difference. Look at the breakaway speed for a guy that's 6'2", 6'3", 185 pounds. And just a little backdrop on him, I saw him at the University of Miami camp just over a week ago. Really good kid, easygoing, doesn't mind talking to people. Always nice to talk to people that have an easygoing personality like him. This is something you don't always see. Big-bodied receivers doing punt returns. I've talked about this with some of the other guys in episode 1. This is another example of it. Press coverage, and the DB makes a fatal error by not using his hands at the line of scrimmage, and he pays. Another point about most of these kids, anytime they're given an opportunity where the DB makes a critical error, that right there is just ridiculous, though. Great hands by Waden. If they make an error, they get burned. These kids are ultra competitive here in Florida. Ultra competitive. That catch kind of speaks for itself. Double coverage did not matter. This is a great angle on it. Can't teach the competitiveness. He wanted it more than they did, and he had the ability to go get it. This is another key element of what he can do. Finds a way to kind of be nimble, but he's strong too, breaks the tackle, and just, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and score. He should have got 5 yards out of that. Slant and go. This is the better angle. Good job by the camera to catch it from a couple of different spots. How nifty is he, man? For a short area burst and being over 6 foot, to making those kind of catches, just tremendous. For those that are wondering, this is a kid that's already gotten a lot of offers from the big programs that you would expect being in South Florida. If he wants to go to any of the big three, etc., I mean, that won't be a problem, SEC, etc. He's a national top 100 kid, in my opinion. And to be really honest, the sky is the limit. He's just learning some of the basics of how to run routes. Again, these are all kids getting ready to enter their junior year of high school. Reverse, put on the brakes, stop, start, and there he goes. Again, when they make an error, these kids are the ones that take advantage. That is the overriding theme over and over. We'll stop on that play right there, just to kind of put it in perspective. Waden Charles is one of my favorite kids to watch. And again, very nice young man. Anytime a kid has that talent, they're going to get recruited, but it adds more. And this is a lesson for anybody watching this. It's an up and coming player. You want to get recruited? be respectful to coaches, media, other coaches, etc. that are around, you're going to get more respect back, and people are going to want to help you. Waden's a great example of that. Next man on the list is somebody that I got to know by accident. Just went to a high school practice, didn't know what they had other than they just had a lot of talent in general. And that's Norland High School in Miami Gardens on the north edge of the city of Miami. Jade Card is chiseled, 6'2", 195 pounds, and he can absolutely run, jump, catch, cut, all the things you want, but he's already kind of filled out a little bit. He's going to be over 200 pounds when he's done. Another kid, very respectful too. I really enjoyed being around him. Competitive, winning 50-50 balls, etc. Really good kid. So let's watch a little bit of Jade and talk about some of his skills. Now, last year he was not at Norland. He was at South Broward. So keep that in mind. So the uniform, in case you know what Norland is, he was not at Norland. This is a South Broward game. And he just made plays all over the field. If you're playing in Broward County, you're going against guys. Even some of the teams that finish 500 have Power 5 kids, just for reference. Heck, even some of the schools that go sub 500 have Power 5 kids. Not afraid to go across the middle. Cheap shot there at the end. This one was rather interesting. I didn't see this coming. They just put him at Wildcat and said, you know what? Let's just allow him to run the football. This is another opportunity where it just shows his natural athleticism here. Now, he's got some space, but one, he knew that he needed to get the ball quickly. He went out and got it with his hands. He caught the ball away from his body. You think, well, not a big gain. That's still really important catch because it sets up other plays later. You got to be able to catch those underneath balls where you know you're probably going to get tackled right away. Jade is more than happy to do it. Then there's that. He just took that ball off that kid's head. Makes two guys miss, drags another guy 10 yards. Competitive nature in South Florida is different. Look at that catch. The body control and the balance. Most kids would have went down right away. Good job by Jade. Press coverage. I bet he doesn't use his hands well. Well, he tried. Just poor job, and it still didn't matter even though he got interfered with. That's a competitive kid now. One last play here. He is a smooth operator. All right. Now, if you're going to think about what Jade can do long term, I think he can be a boundary. But I also think he's nimble enough, once again. He could play some slot if you really wanted him to, especially as he learns more about routes and understanding schemes and where to sit down in zone. And then a flanker is his natural position. Those are all definitely a possibility. Another player that is a little bit different than some of the guys that I've shown so far is a kid that maybe not quite as well known, but I just liked his film. And I'm not here just to pump up the kids that already have the high ranking in 50 offers or whatever. I see a kid that's good, I'm going to talk about him. And this is a young man that I like. His name is Jamar Browder. He's from Santaluces, another South Florida kid. And big body, strength, maybe not a burner, but just makes plays. Bottom line, do you catch the ball? And do you take advantage of the opportunity thereafter, whether it's dragging a guy, making a guy miss, combination, and helping your team win? That's what I'm looking for every single time. So let's talk about Browder a little bit. This is a guy that I don't really think many people have seen. I haven't heard about him much. Doesn't mean he's not a good player or that he's gotten all the attention that he deserves yet. But I think long term, you're going to see this kid get everything that he deserves. His offer list will probably grow a lot. Nice toe tap. Contested catch. Once again, that's something that's a theme for me in today's spread world. Even if you're a slot guy, really, if you're not catching some of these contested balls like that, when the DB does a pretty good job of sticking with you, you just, you find a way to win whatever way it is, then we got a problem. Nice stop there. A little underthrown. Maybe that was by design. I don't know, but he found a way to adjust. Straight fade. When you got that size, man, he's got to be 6'3", I would imagine. I try not to pay attention too much to what the listed height and weights are. I just kind of use them as a barometer and then kind of eyeball it, because I know they're oftentimes a little bit off. The kids grow and stuff too, so he may be taller than what I think he is right now. Look at that body control. Not a burner, but man, he catches everything. Contested catches are Jamar's forte. Look at that. Wish I had the hands that he did. Good job. Finally, this rainy pass right here is just kind of funny because it's such a typical thing. I've been in this situation many times on a sideline in Florida. You're getting drenched, but pretty good football going on. We deal with it a lot here in the Sunshine State. That is a prayer, but Jamar was happy to take care of that. All right. Now, this next kid that I want to talk about is somebody, how do I put this, that probably isn't going to get, even after he gets a ton of offers, isn't going to get as much attention as he should. And the reason for that is just location. In the state of Florida, as a backdrop, Central Florida to South Florida, about everybody gets attention. There's a few gaps in there along the Space Coast and the Treasure Coast because there's no major airport. But North Florida, except for Tallahassee, Pensacola, and right in Jacksonville, and I mean literally right there, it's hard to get guys to get far from the airport. They fly in, they go to a handful of schools, and they leave. These schools are trying to cut as many costs as possible. St. Augustine's just a little bit south of Jacksonville, but it doesn't get the attention it deserves. The quarterback, honestly, a 25 kid as well, has already committed to Wake Forest. Maybe that'll help, but they've got several receivers that are pretty good at St. Aug, and this is the one I like the best. Carl Jenkins Jr., 6'3", 180, 190, somewhere in that range, and he can really run naturally, limber, can break down and make guys miss. So once again, let's share and let's watch a little bit of film. Carl has the speed to beat you deep, not necessarily a burner, but he has enough of it to go with the body control to make plays like that. Pretty good feet. And look at the catch away from his body. He's a wiry kid, but he can change direction pretty well. And that's DB was in great position. He still came up with that. That's really impressive. Nice cut. He's one of the better route runners from this group. And I would bet you that if you think about Carl and his long-term ability to get into the Power 5 level and make something happen, flanker and split end both make sense. Nice release and really charges off the line there. That kid just got smoked. That's a physical mismatch. He's just not quick enough for Carl. But the quarterback, again, the kid's throwing him the ball. He's committed to Wake Forest. Miami and several other schools wanted him. He can really play. So Carl Jenkins Jr. is benefiting from that. But at the same time, you got to make the play when it's there. presses. The DB makes a nice cut. DB takes a terrible angle, and Jenkins makes him pay. Kid at DB there, you could tell he didn't know what to do. He was scared of the speed, and he should have been. Again, though, when you got a better player, you got to make him pay. Right there is just pure speed. Terrible timing between the quarterback and receiver, but he still scored. Nice breakdown, makes him look like he's going deep. Then he makes him pay afterwards, too. That's the mark of a Florida kid if I ever saw one right there. It's never enough just to get the ball. They want to score. One more play here. That's impressive. So if you really, really look at it, you could make an argument that a kid like this is what Florida's most famous for. Spur used to take a lot of kids from the central Florida area, just north of Orlando, and you're like, who's this guy? And they did well. The Jacksonville area is an area that just outside of it, Spurrier and his staff did well. Bowden did the same thing. This is the kind of kid they would have went after. And considering the passing games in the 90s that those two schools had, kind of hard to argue that you shouldn't take a look at it. Carl Jenkins Jr. won't probably get the same level of respect as some of the other kids I've shown or will. Trust me, that kid can play. I've talked to some people about him. Upside is through the roof, and I think he is a big-time Power 5 player. Another kid I want to talk about, this is somebody that I learned about again this spring, Kamari. Kamari Williams is not just a good football player. He's a good kid, really down to earth, and he's just really strong hands. Another contested catch guy. Never have enough of those in today's spread offensive world. Throwing it up deep, sure, he can go get it. He's got the speed, he's twitchy and all that, but it's the 50-50 balls in the fight. He wants to learn. He's getting a lot better with technique from talking to people around the Chaminade-Madonna program, and he's learning underneath Josiah Trader and Jeremiah Smith. When you're learning from those guys, life is going to be a little easier. Now, he's not going to get as many balls this year as some others, but he still has some offers anyway. They know it's coming. And when you see him in practice and the way he kind of moves around, it makes it pretty easy to understand. So let's watch a little bit of film of Kamari. He has all the ability in the world to make it happen. He transferred into Chaminade for this year. So he played at Atlantic last year up in Palm Beach County. First play right off the bat takes it off the guy's head. There's a reason that he has offers despite not being as well known up in Palm Beach County. This is a nice design play, but a heck of a job by the DB getting back. Kamari still makes the play anyway. Atlantic does have a history of producing some talent, to say the least. Oof, that's a nice catch. Double coverage, gets by him. Contested play, didn't matter. Love the speed for a kid that this is, obviously a long-bodied kid. Very fluid running style. Not a pure burner, but fast enough to get deep and the ability to use that wingspan. I think he can be a really good boundary or a really good flanker. Nice stop and start moves. Look at this zig and zag for a kid that's got his size already. It's amazing he's going to be the third or fourth option in the passing game at Chaminade this year. It's just utterly ridiculous. Nice catch away from the body. Notice how he extended, didn't allow the football to come towards him and get into his body. That DB should have had a pick there, but if you make a mistake, you got to make them pay. One more play here from Kamari. That's pretty impressive. Now, if you really want to talk about South Florida in general, there aren't many schools that don't have some kind of big-time athlete at receiver. The difference, just as a quick note, is the effort and the attitude away from the gridiron, what they're eating, what they're doing, what they're training, how they sleep. All those little things are the differences between the kids that make it to the Miamis and Ohio States and Auburns and all the different schools that recruit down there. I can tell you Kamari is one of the kids, just from being around him a little bit. He gets it, and I also think that he's going to be a guy that will eventually end up being pretty much wherever he wants to go. He's on that fringe now. He's got a few offers, but he's going to get that experience playing at Chaminade this year, and they're going to have to single cover him. Good luck to those teams. Again, they've got Josiah Trader and Jeremiah Smith. Look them up. If you don't know who they are, class of 2024 elite players. So also want to talk about one more guy, Tayshaun Gelsey. This is a big kid that could even develop into a tight end, possibly. It doesn't really matter, though, because in today's spread world, it's just my opinion. The boundary spot and a flex tight end is almost interchangeable. Like some teams even use the tight ends out wide if they've got a good player. So what does it really matter? He's around 210 already, and he's a kid that will, once again, make the contested catches. If you haven't already figured out in a theme, that's what I personally like, because you're just not always going to get open. You're not always going to smoke a guy. Sometimes you just got to make a contested play. This is another kid that, in my opinion, deserves some credit for doing that. And I'm not really sure if there's too many guys that could go any better with this, because he's not a burner. He's not a real fast guy. But he has the ability to make catches over and over again, even when teams know he's going to get the ball. Plays at Riverside in Jacksonville. He's powerful. Look at him bouncing off guys. Love the effort. Never goes out of style. Out of this entire list, he might be the least known. It's possible. Riverside's not like a program that's out in the sticks, obviously, but I haven't heard his name that much in circles yet. I have a feeling that is going to change. Gelsey is big enough, again, where he could eventually be a flex tight end or in that realm. But they got him here, like they got him in number 2 spot outright. Nice seam route and a pretty good change of direction for a big kid. I don't see why he wouldn't end up being a national recruit. If he puts in the effort and he's doing the right things in the classroom and off the field, the film does not lie. All right, he's in the slot. He's kind of playing a quote-unquote power slot role here. He's out wide. I thought that was him at 7. But he just runs over guys anyway. Not many receivers have the power this kid does, and that's why I keep bringing up a possible flex tight end somewhere down the road. Going to show one more play here and wrap it up, but this is a good one to end it on. Really nice play. So once again, we're looking at a group of kids that are big-bodied, that have speed, have playmaking ability, contested catches. That's my thing. It's a big deal for me. And they're just competitive. All these kids that I've shown today have one other theme in common. They've got offers. Not all of them have a ton, like a Joshua Moore or Jamie French, or, there's some that are just a little bit different. Dallas Wilson. I showed all those. And again, episode 1, make sure you check that out here on CFB Nation. But they all have the ability to end up at 30 or more offers. And there are other kids. This is just the tip of the iceberg in the state of Florida. Just the tip of the iceberg. And to clarify once again, I'm just doing some of the bigger kids in this edition. I'm going to do some more in terms of wide receivers that are smaller, but probably flanker or slot. Doesn't mean they're not as talented. There's different styles of play and or different body types. And I think they're all going to be great too. And most of these kids, I'll talk about them more in episode 3 with the wide receivers. They're all just really talented kids that make it happen after the catch. They can really run. So please like this podcast. Please subscribe. Please share it. Talk about it with your friends. And above all else, for my benefit and for Driscoll and everybody else here at CFB Nation, make sure you comment. Any one of us can comment, maybe even multiple, in terms of what we have to say about your comments originally. We'll reply. We love the discussion. We love talking high school football. We're going to be talking about a lot of prospects on this podcast. Going to have several different kids that I'm going to have come on for interviews. And the way to get the discussion going is just ask questions and make your own judgments. If you think any one of these kids, for instance, was the best one, tell me why. I'm happy to discuss it with you. I have my own opinions about them, but I can tell you this, out of all the kids I just showed today, I wouldn't be scared, even if I was Alabama or Georgia or anybody like that, to take these kids. They're really good football players. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Please have a great day, and thank you very much.